Yes, absolutely yes. If you came into my home, if you took it from me, if you stripped my identity from you, if you stripped my culture, my language, if you committed genocide, if you committed ethnic cleansing, if you wiped away my entire identity and then categorized me like a product, and by that decided how I would benefit from society in general. If you and I then die, and my child has to live and try to just get by the bare minimum of the crumbs that you have left them to now access after they are free, and your child is still basking in all the benefits of everything that you have stolen from me, yes, my child will hold your child accountable. I wouldn't expect them to rest until they do, because they deserve better.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. Please subscribe and join the happy family. And if you are a returning subscriber, it's so good to have you here. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back as usual. Today we're going to be going over to South Africa. Something very interesting happened that we need to talk about, okay? So I recently found out that the King and Queen of Netherlands, the Dutch people, visited South Africa, and it was quite eventful. Yeah, they actually got confronted by angry protesters. You know what, let me just go right ahead and play some of the videos so that you guys can understand what we're talking about.
On October 21st, 2023, around 100 protesters confronted the Dutch royal couple, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima, as they made an official visit to a slavery museum in Cape Town, South Africa. The protesters chanted calls for reparations as the royal couple left the Slave Lodge building, a museum that traces part of the Netherlands' 150-year-long involvement in slavery in South Africa. Security guards held back the protesters, who included First Nations people wearing traditional animal skin dresses. The king and queen were quickly put into a car and driven away. The engagement was part of Willem-Alexander's first visit to the African continent since he became king 10 years ago.
Sorry, Sam, you thought of the landing over. Now let us just accept our. What's wrong with you, bro? Let me talk to this man. You must introduce me. Sorry, Mr. King. Sorry, Mr. King. Sorry, sir. Sorry. We are from. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. You're making half peace. You're not really making peace with the Khoisan nation. You're making peace with Nguni. Bodyguards to protect us. You made your money from us by raping our ancestors. Use up as a murder. The Dutch are murderers. The Israelis murderers. You are Dutch killers. My God. The remnant of slavery is still real. You're making peace with sellouts. True sellouts. Disgusting. Disgusting.
He stole our livestock. So today, the wealth that was taken from us, we need journey back. We are suffering from generation to generation, and I cannot allow the generation behind me to suffer the way I do. Today, my ancestors, my mother, my father, my great-grandfather, and my great-mother, they are here with me today in spirit, and we are saying that the king must come to the table. He has a good heart. I've seen him on TV, I've seen his wife. I can see that they have a compassion for people, and they also got children, girl children, and if they don't want a bad legacy of their children from our children, because our children will also remember the hate, let's start healing the shameful past of what Jan van Riebeeck did. Let's start healing, let's start the process of peace, and let's rectify the shameful past what Jan van Riebeeck did when he arrived here in Cape Town.
So now, I don't know very much about South African history, so any South African out there, please let us know in the comment section the exact history between the Dutch people. And I have an idea of how the Dutch people basically came into Africa, and I know that a lot of the present day white South Africans are descendants of those Dutch people. At least I know that much. And I know that a lot of these palm color people, not just the Dutch, you guys, basically all of them, when they came to Africa, they did and undid. They wreaked havoc, they took advantage of the people, they destroyed the land. Till now, our people are still trying to recover. I mean, it's basically the same story in almost every African country, isn't it? But I think it's worse in the case of the South Africans, because now they basically are living with these people. And then this Dutch king and queen came and they visited that museum. Like, I think that was the wrongest move. What did you guys go to do there in a museum that basically reflects your dark past? How comfortable were you guys walking through the halls of those museums and seeing all those artifacts or pictures or whatever it is that were displayed there? So anyways, there's been two kinds of reactions. Basically, there have been people that are criticizing the actions of the South Africans who came out to protest and confront the king and queen of the Netherlands. They are saying, oh, we need to be nice to our visitors. Why are you guys behaving so barbaric? I'm going to be putting the comments on the screen. Some are like, oh, this happened so many years ago. This is the year 2023. We need to stop living in the past. And there are some that are saying that the Dutch people are South Africa's biggest investors, and they are at the risk of ruining that relationship. Like, you guys want to stay in poverty by driving off your investors. And there are also some on the other hand that are like, what does the Dutch king owe you guys? Does he owe you guys an apology? Because I mean, he was not the one that came to your land all those years ago and did all those things to you, so he shouldn't inherit the sin of his ancestors. Like, the comment section, those are people that have that school of thought. And on the other hand, there are people that are like, yes, we will never forgive, we will never forget. This is our land. If you come here, you think you're going to be welcomed? No, we're going to let you guys live through the evil that you and your ancestors did. Because guess what? Even if it was your ancestors that did it, you're still reaping the benefits till this very day. We've not had any kind of compensation. We are still dealing with the issues that you guys created in our countries. You guys got rich off of us, and then we are enduring trauma. We are still trying to get ourselves up economically. We are still living through the pain. So it doesn't matter if it was your ancestors that did it, you're going to bear the consequences. Some South Africans are like, I'm really proud of my people for speaking up and all of that. And yeah, I'm just going to go right ahead and play some of the stitches so that you guys can hear it from the horse's mouth, what people really think about this whole visit.
Jere, julle hoort not te staan vir jou rou man. Look how Queen Susannaike is clutching her pulse. Is she probably stole from you?
So, the King and Queen of the Netherlands recently visited Cape Town, South Africa, for the very first time. They have never been there. Their urge was to go and visit the country, to get to know more about the slavery time, the slavery period, and to come and apologize for what their ancestors did many years ago. Right? So now what disgusts me even more is when the King and Queen, they were at a slavery museum in Cape Town, and they just wanted to leave, and they got attacked by South Africans, the Khoisan colored culture. Now guys, I understand the frustrations, yeah, but do remember that we are in the year 2023, yeah, and this is a different king in this time and day of age. So for people to blame someone for what someone else did many years ago, it's very unfair. Yeah. And I'm not saying this because I am living here in the Netherlands and I'm colored too. I'm not saying that because of that. This is facts, guys. So we can't go around blaming someone else for what another person did many years ago, like I said. It's just not fair towards that person, because that person has got nothing to do with what happened. He apologized. What more do you guys want? Like, can you guys be so judgmental? Like, this man has apologized so many times. Even before he came to Cape Town, over here in Netherlands, he has apologized numerous of times for what other people did many years ago. Which I think, wow, that's brave to do, right? You guys are quick to blame other people, right? But you forget that the government in South Africa stole so much of that country. Not even the king and queen. Right now, we're talking about 2023. That government is stealing so much of the country. There are still a difference between schools, local schools, private schools. There's still a difference between healthcare, where you get local hospitals and then people with medical aid. There's still difference between the white culture, how they were living, how the colored culture is living, and how the blacks are living. But the king and queen of Netherlands is to blame.
We can blame the current king and queen of the Netherlands for what their ancestors did. You rightfully mentioned them as the king and the queen of the Netherlands. You didn't mention any names. So it's not a personal thing, okay? It is a title, and we hold the institution accountable. Because whatever the Netherlands did in South Africa, the institution drove it. It was driven by the institution. So it doesn't matter. I can also become the king of the Netherlands tomorrow. And rightfully people should be able to hold me accountable for what previous kings and queens did to South Africa. We must never forget that. I don't care where you come from. The title is within the institution. And we should stop this where we ignorantly comment on something that we do not have context about, or that we do not critically engage. We should stop with this. We can't blame them for what they know. We're not blaming them personally. We're blaming the institution. Just like we are not still blaming white people in South Africa for what their ancestors did, but we blame the institution of white people, because as a whole group they are more privileged as a result of what happened previously. Just like the Netherlands were built on what they did here in South Africa, and today's king and queen benefits from that privilege. So we should not take away from that, okay?
A slavery museum in Cape Town, and they...
Firstly, it's not our king and queen. We don't recognize that king and queen. Secondly, they weren't at a slave museum. They were at a museum that displays all the atrocities that their ancestors had committed in this country for hundreds of years. And when they come here to visit it, it's not to learn things that they don't know of. Our history and how they have plummeted and taken everything from us, and still to this day benefit as a country from everything that they have taken from this country. Coming here is not what they do to learn. They have got hundreds and hundreds of years of documented benefits from this country, where they have got their own museums dedicated to everything that they have done, from the slavery to how many people that they have unalived, to the laws that they have implemented to enable them to be slave masters in this country. It's not just a museum to learn about the slavery of South Africa. It's the museum that has been put up to display everything that their ancestors have done to this country. So for you to be disgusted in the people who are indigenous to this country is beyond me. You and your Netherlands king and queen need to stay there. Unless you bring more than an apology. An apology will not turn the last 400 years around. So you must ask yourself, why are you in Netherlands to begin with? Why are you forced out of your country for opportunity? If you want to be disgusted in the reasons why you have to go to Netherlands in order to have a good life.
The King and Queen of the Netherlands.
Hi Dominique, I don't know where to start with you. So you're speaking from a space of privilege, right? So you see that king and queen that you adore so much, that came to come and visit us. Those are people that their monarchy still exists and still functions the way it does because of what was done to our people, because of what was stolen from us, because of the deaths, because of the rape, right? That trauma still lives within us. That trauma still runs through our veins. This is why we can link it to many social problems that colored people or Kwekam people still experience, right? Before you open that hole in your face, be mindful for the fact that some of us are not as easily forgiving as you, and some of us are still suffering, and some of us are still trying to heal from what was taken and done to us. Imagine a whole society of people that is lost because of what was done to us. So next time you say that, just maybe forgive them, think of what actions or what consequences your words have, right? Because I'm actually boiling, because you have no idea what happened to our people and how we are still suffering. Sure, yo, jelle tipe.
In my opinion, I do not blame the South African people. As a matter of fact, I commend their courage. I commend their courage. They wore their traditional outfits. They went there under the sun. They were holding their placards. They were singing at the top of their voice. They did not care if they came with their bodyguards or if there were any police or whatever. They made sure their voices were heard. They passed a statement. There was no violence. Our people are not savage. But they definitely spoke up. And I'm sure their ancestors are proud of them. Now, on the other hand, we in West Africa, I don't think that will ever happen. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm calling my people out. It's almost like there's a stray bullet that is hitting some other Africans. Maybe not just West Africans, because I learned that, I don't know which president or who was that went to Kenya, and those people got the warmest reception ever. So you guys see that. I can equally assure you that if it was Nigeria, and the royal family or the king of Britain or whatever, the royal family came to Nigeria, oh, you guys, they will get a presidential treatment. They will be treated like royalty, even above our own royalty over here. People will be rolling the red carpets. People will be lobbying to get contracts so that they can make money off of, their visits. Like you guys, some of our people have not gotten the wake-up call. I'm not lying. Some have, some haven't. I think we need to make these people uncomfortable. And it's not just about protests and all of that. We need to take actions to take our countries back, to take Africa back. Look at what is happening in Congo.
You're all complicit in one of the deadliest conflicts that history has ever seen. I'm going to explain why. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one of the most mineral-rich countries in the entire world. However, it's one of the most economically deprived. Key mineral which is sourced here is coltan, which is used to power technology. If you have a phone, coltan's in it. A car, coltan. There's not a lot you can do without coltan. Now, while this should make Congo one of the richest countries in the world, it's not, because the industry here has been exploited by Western countries and neighbours such as Rwanda. Now, an estimated $1 million is lost every year due to smuggling from Rwanda. Rwanda backs an organisation called the M23, which has been responsible for the deaths of millions of Congolese people. The Rwandan army has deployed troops all over eastern Congo to help strengthen these M23 rebels and increase their hold over the coltan-producing regions in Congo. Now, considering this is one of the deadliest conflicts in history, there is a startling lack of information online. Why? Because the West largely helps to fund these. They collaborate with the Rwandan government, and they also send weapons to rebel forces in Congo. This is because if they keep the country unstable, they keep military insurgency going, the country is weakened, and a weakened country can be exploited. A united country can't. Now, in the past 100 years, Congo has seen the biggest loss of life in the world, and no one is talking about it. Now, I won't be able to explain everything that's been happening in the country in 100 years in one video, so this will be a series, but I thought, let me start from the top with Western colonization. Now, in 1885, King Leopold of Belgium literally just seized the country as his personal possession. Now, while other European countries were turning Africa into their colonies, he took Congo as a personal region. Now, backed with money given by the Belgian government, King Leopold said that he was going to bring civilization to Congo. Now, for reference, Congo is the largest country in what they call sub-Saharan Africa. It's about the size of the entirety of Western Europe. Now, the atrocities in Congo were so bad that other European governments were literally disgusted. And in 1908, due to pressure from other European governments, King Leopold turned over the colony to the government of Belgium. But during these years, torture was rife. If people didn't meet their work quotas, they would literally have a hand or foot amputated. And Belgium is now famous for selling chocolate hands. Where do you think that idea came from? An estimated 15 million people died during King Leopold's rule over Congo. It's considered one of the biggest mass genocides in history.
Yeah. I realize it's not getting a lot of media, but people are trying to speak up on it now because of the attention Israel and Palestine is getting. So people are like, okay, nobody's talking about this one. Everybody's talking about this. This is happening here as well. So I thought I should just fix that in this video. We actually have a long way to go in Africa, but I'm proud of the South Africans. Please, any South African watching this, please educate us in the comment section. I really want to know the history. And even though the Dutch president had previously made an apology to South Africa,
the King of the Netherlands, King Willem-Alexander, has delivered an official apology for his country's history of slavery.
Als uw koning en als deel van de regering maak ik vandaag deze excuses zelf.
Some 600,000 people were trafficked by Dutch slave traders over a 250-year period.
Maar voor het overduidelijke gebrek aan handelen tegen deze misdaad tegen de menselijkheid vraag ik vandaag, op deze dag dat we samen het Nederlands slavernijverleden herdenken, vergiffenis.
The event in Amsterdam marked 160 years since the abolition of slavery.
It still doesn't matter because, see, apologies, we can get 1,001 apologies, but what are you doing to make it right? So I think I understand where the people of South Africa are coming from. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Right here is what needs to be happening when these kings and queens come to visit the lands that they previously destroyed. The Dutch king and queen are confronted by angry protesters on a visit to a slavery museum in South Africa. Angry protesters in Cape Town have confronted the king and queen of the Netherlands. You remember I did a video on that. Don't leave the Netherlands out. They was all up and through, okay? As they visit a museum that traces part of their country's 150-year involvement in slavery in South Africa. Now, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima were leaving the Slave Lodge building in central Cape Town when a small group of protesters representing South Africa's First Nations group, the earliest inhabitants of the region around Cape Town, surrounded the royal couple and shouted slogans about Dutch colonizers stealing land from their ancestors. Now, of course, the king and queen were rushed to safety by their security personnel, but let's take a trip to the past to see what happened. The Dutch colonized the southwestern part of South Africa in 1652 through the Dutch East India Trading Company. They controlled the Dutch Cape Colony for more than 150 years. Then who you think came in after that? The British. Like I said in my previous videos, I don't even need to finish a sentence. Modern-day South Africa still reflects that complicated Dutch history, most notably in the Afrikaans language, which is derived from Dutch and is widely spoken as an official language of the country, including by First Nations descendants. Now, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima made no speeches during their visit to the slave lodge, but spent time walking through rooms where enslaved people were kept under Dutch colonial rule. The slave lodge was built in 1679, making it one of the oldest buildings in Cape Town. It was used to keep enslaved men, women, and children until 1811. Slavery in South Africa was abolished by the English colonizers in 1834. And one of the First Nations representatives who accompanied the king and queen on their walk through the slave lodge said their visit should serve to exorcise some ghosts. But let's get a little bit more into this Dutch East India Company that was established in Cape Town as a settlement for trading ships to pick up supplies on their way to and from Asia. Enslaved people were brought to work at the colony from Asian and other African countries, but First Nations inhabitants of South Africa were also enslaved and forced off the land. Historians estimate that there was nearly 40,000 enslaved people in Cape Colony when slavery ended. And First Nations groups have been lobbying for years for this history to be remembered, what the Dutch did and what the British did. But they say that their story has largely been forgotten in South Africa, which instead is often defined by the apartheid era of brutal forced racial segregation that was in place from 1948 until 1994. I hope you learned something new.